If you were forced to give up an item, let's just say OV scores his, what's the record for goals? 871. Say, I think it is, Wayne's. Say he scores 872 and against the opposition, and let's say Shesterkin, let's say it's in New York, and he fires the puck into the crowd, the goalie for the Rangers, and you catch it. And then the Capitals come over to you and tap on the glass. Can we get that puck? It's Ovi's. It's the record-breaking goal. A, you don't want to give it to him, but B, you know you should. What would be an appropriate...
But C, that's $1 million puck in your hand.
They say the football's $500,000.
Okay.
That's what they're saying.
So the puck would be... This didn't break a record. The puck would be right there.
No, what would you want?
$500,000.
You scumbag!
That'd be the coolest thing to have the record-breaking puck. But you know what?
Oh, it's $894. Sorry. So if it's $895, you catch the puck for $895. Because what Tom said was, we'll get him a helmet, maybe a couple jerseys or something. I'm not quite like you.
Yeah.
I'm not a complete pimp like you. I would say, I want the helmet. I want the jerseys. I want season tickets. I want lunch with you at the Golden Corral tomorrow, Tom. And let me think about it a little longer, and then I'll get back to you.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
Some leather-lunged New Yorker. He's cheering for the Panthers, but he's behind me, and he was making all these jokes. He's like, yeah, the Panthers are losing by a hair. You know, I heard these Florida fans are rabid, but this is ridiculous. Anyways, and then security came down. Right from everybody, because the rabbit's not hurting anybody. I was kind of hoping the rabbit would crap all over the kids.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yes, guilty as charged. Thank you, Rick Regan. Welcome to the RP Show on a Wednesday, October the 4th. It's a great day, obviously, because I'm in my happy place, South Florida. Darren Moose DuPont is in his happy place, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, working from the home office today, it looks like. What's up? What's up?
Did you always have the tea, or is that brand new?
No, I just bought it. I had it yesterday. Thanks for noticing. And, yeah, thanks, guys, for putting it. My guy, Chris Sanford from the Bronx, he said I had to get a tee, so I went down. What do you think a football tee costs? What do you think it costs, by the way, at Dick's Sporting Goods?
$19.99.
$5.25 U.S.
How about that?
In Canadian funds, $19.99. Yes. Hey, we're going to jump right to this. On the program today, Brent Sopel, Stanley Cup champion, personal friend of mine from the Chicago Blackhawks, and Moose's too. Stanley Cup champion, 2010 Chicago Blackhawks. Brent Sopel's going to be with us. Derek Wiggins, Calgary Stampeders defensive lineman, and our weekly CFLPA Players Association Spotlight. And Sportsnet's Arash Badani is going to join us. He's asked to come on, and he's going to be in the next segment. So can you hit the quick stick show horn, please? Director Jordan, who's back in the chair. And we got to fly through this with Darren here in segment 1 because Arash is on next, and Moose will come back next hour. Man, we got a lot to get to. By the way, Ron Duguay has chimed in, but we'll talk about that next hour to our discussion yesterday, and it's hilarious. Basically saying Joe Namath took care of the women of New York in the 60s. Ron Duguay took care of them in the 70s.
How about that?
Tagged him in.
Yeah. Duguay wanted to offer that. Okay. Number 1, the Toronto Blue Jays Moose played 161 games over 6 long months before clinching an American League wildcard playoff berth. But if they don't win today, their postseason's going to be over. The Jays lost 3-1 to the Minnesota Twins in Game 1 of their American League wildcard on Tuesday. Royce Lewis hit 2 homers for the Twins, driving in all the runs for the hosts, who were out-hit 6-5. Before we get on to the other games, did you watch it? I mean, I feel like such a fan in that I waited 2 days, all of Monday and then Tuesday, for that 4:38 Eastern first pitch. And right from the start, it was wah, wah, wah. I mean, in Target Field, they were into it, man. It was electric there for the Twins. And I can't believe all the turncoats in Canada that cheer for the Twins. And I won't mention them. Michael Wynn in Winnipeg. It was just brutal. I think combined, what were they? Vladdy, Bo Bichette, and Springer were a combined 3 for 13. Man, they weren't very good. And the Twins made the plays in the outfield. They made the plays at the plate. I'm talking about offense, and just enough. 2 home runs was all it took. Very disappointing Game 1, and I just wonder, for another Blue Jays playoff, is the coffee table book going to be a pamphlet talking about the 2023 MLB playoffs for the Toronto Blue Jays? Are they going to pull it out today or not?
It's big because they have a favorable pitching matchup, I think, in Game 3, but they have to win today to get there. Look, I watched it with Leanne yesterday, and she used to be a pretty good softball player back in the day, and she's like, I always swung on the first pitch. I love swinging on the first pitch. I'm like, I wish the Jays would swing on one because every first pitch was right down the middle, and they watched every one. But you know what? It's tough. I mean, the Bull play at home, he could have stayed at third, maybe kept the inning going, but he took a chance. I don't blame him for that. But again, this team just doesn't hit well with runners in scoring position. It's very frustrating. So we'll be watching again today, and they better win, man. They better win.
Interesting that you say that they looked a little tentative at the plate, but as you like, when Bo rounded third, I'm like, what are you doing? But as you said, he was going for it. So they just didn't look like themselves. So I guess, again, it's fast. It's a best of 3. It's something, man. We'll be watching today, but it was very disappointing. Corbin Carroll, Ketel Marte, and Gabriel Moreno homered against Corbin Barnes, helping Arizona erase an early 3-run deficit and send the Diamondbacks to a 6-3 win over the Milwaukee Brewers in Game 1 of that NL wildcard series. And Zach Wheeler struck out 8 and pitched into the 7th inning to lead the Philadelphia Phillies to a 4-1 win over the Miami Marlins in the opener of that NL wildcard. I laughed because it was just Monday that Bill Lindsay and I were talking about a Blue Jays-Marlins World Series. All 48 hours later, it doesn't take long, clearly. And the reason I moved to point 2, because it's not just about the game, it's about the crowd. Tuesday's American League wildcard series opener between the Rangers and Rays in Tampa Bay drew an announced crowd of just 19,704, the lowest for a postseason game since the 1919 World Series. The crowd for the 4-0 Rangers win over the Rays was roughly 5,300 below the average capacity for Trop Field for Rays games. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on baseball and less time on attendance because if they were really concerned, they would have moved the team. This isn't, I don't think, an Oakland A's situation where the owners are like, see, nobody draws. We can't get anybody to our games. We want to move. So MLB lets them. They're not, the owners of the Rays don't want to move. So why, if they don't care, why would we? What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. If they don't care, I mean, you just hope that there's some, unless the fan base just sits there and thinks, man, we're better than this and we're just going to roll through the series and we'll show up next round, but it is tough. But as you talked about in Miami too, haven't heard anything about the Marlins all year, and here they are in the playoffs. So maybe it's just the market. Maybe it's just what else is going on right now.
It's interesting, yes, for sure. Some howdy do's and good mornings. John Schmeiser checking in from Kansas City. Ryan McCarthy in upstate New York. Happy hump day, he says. I'll be on his podcast tonight. Bo Halverson checking in from Saskatoon. Ryan H. says, hello from Toronto, Rod Squad. And I'll be honest, Navy Don, the guy, I can't call him a turncoat. I can't call him a traitor because he works for the Royal Canadian Navy. He's dedicated his life to defending Canada. I don't feel comfortable calling him a traitor. Yet, he writes in and says, I'll cheer for the Twins every time over Toronto. And then blows us a kiss emoji. I think I'll just quote Forrest Gump and say that's all I have to say about that. And move on to point 3. Rookie Connor Bedard. Rookie Connor Bedard. That's what they... Sanford calls him. Connor Bedard had a goal and 2 assists as the Chicago Blackhawks beat the visiting Detroit Red Wings 4-2 in NHL preseason play Tuesday. Corey Perry scored twice for the Hawks. Joseph Valeno scored both for Detroit. Getting a little pushback on my contention yesterday that Connor Bedard is already the best player on the Chicago Blackhawks, and I don't really care what anybody else thinks. It depends how you look at it, but I found this really interesting. I was looking this up this morning. The rookie season for Corey Perry with the Anaheim Ducks was 2005-2006. That summer, Connor Bedard was born. There's not many greater disparities in age amongst line mates in any sport or teammates than this. Tom Brady had a bigger spread against some of the guys, but not much. And so let's look at Chicago. The Taylor Hall fans are going to say, how could you compare Bedard compared to Taylor Hall's career? Taylor Hall's been a suitcase. Connor Bedard will play for one team his entire NHL career. I fully believe that. And I do think he's the best player on the Chicago Blackhawks. As usual, I don't know why, Darren. It's a gift. Me being as polarizing as I am, half agree, half disagree. I don't care about either one. What do you think? Is he the best
player? He might end up leading this team in points by the end of the year.
Right.
I mean,
he already is.
He's just in on every goal that they score right now. And I mean, it's preseason. Okay, let's not overreact. Okay, maybe that's fraudulent. If we go back to yesterday's discussion, but you know what? That's all he's done everywhere. With Hockey Canada, he's in on every goal. With the Regina Pats, if he's not in on the goal, they don't score goals. You know, and why not do it in Chicago? He's going to play with good line mates, but he's going to elevate them. Like Taylor Hall might be in for a career year with Connor Bedard passing him the puck. Corey Perry could be a 25-goal guy again, all of a sudden, you know, if he gets to play with Connor Bedard. So this is going to be a lot of fun in Chicago. I don't know if they're going to win a lot of games, but it's going to be fun, and he's already very, very good.
As you say, fun to watch more than anything. Kevin, the medium, check in. Good morning, RP peeps, he says. Ted in Red Deer says, morning all. What a great day for some sports talk, isn't it? I'll allow this from John in Edmonton. He says, breaking news. Alberta's own Nickelback will perform during the second intermission of the Heritage Classic on October 29th in Edmonton. Thank you, John, for updating this. Buffalo Bill writes in from Tioga, North Dakota. And he says, the Jays are falling faster than the Leafs. The Jays won in 92-93. At least they have color championship pictures. Hey, I feel sorry for the Toronto Argonauts more than anything because I see all these people whining. And if I was one of them, I probably would be too. Torontonians about how tough it is to be a Toronto sports fan and how the playoffs suck for them. And there are people immediately writing, what about the Argos? What about the Argos? And they just aren't even thought of. And I don't know why in the Toronto sports conscience anymore. Not my problem.
We forget
a
about
couple
the Raptors?
other hockey things. Yeah, well, that's, yeah. Yes, they have. As a matter of fact, they have. Arash might be a great guy, Arash Madani, next to talk about that. Why is it that it's Leafs or nothing? Or Blue Jays or nothing? And they don't even care about the Raptors championship. Like, Whatever. Here's one. I wanted to address this. And for the football fans that have arrived, we'll spend far more time, an hour or two, on the Canadian Football League, and Derek Wiggins will be joining us from the Calgary Stampeders, because I have a lot of thoughts on the CFL, but I have a lot of thoughts on a lot of things. That's why they call it the Rod Pedersen Show. In Boston, Matthew Phillips scored at 4:04 of overtime as the Washington Capitals edged the Bruins 5-4. That's of note, and this is a Calgary-centric story, but I spent a lot of time, as you know, there the last 2 years. The city's very close to my heart. Matthew Phillips was on the Wranglers American Hockey League team. Calgary kid, he's only, I think, 5'7", and they love him in Calgary. Matthew Phillips. Darryl Sutter would never call him up, and he ended up signing as a free agent in Washington this summer. He's playing on the top line with the Caps, and last night scored the winner. And I see the Calgary media, particularly our friends at the Barn Burner, going ape, you know what, about why is he playing in Washington? Why didn't we have him in Calgary? Another thing Darryl screwed up, and I will just advise this. You guys say whatever you want, and you Calgary hockey fans and Flames fans feel however you want. But can y'all just please get over it? I heard from a Sutter on the weekend, as simple as that they're all watching this show. So hello, Sutter family. And all I'm going to say is stop trampling on the grave, because it doesn't look good. Everything happens for a reason. Matthew Phillips has moved on. Your team's moved on. The Sutters have moved on. It would be nice if everybody moved on. And I will only look at as recent of an example as last year with the Winnipeg Jets. Up until about end of January, everybody was doing a victory lap around Paul Maurice's virtual grave. How'd that turn out, Moose? How did it turn out? I'll wait.
Yeah, not great.
Just move on.
Yeah.
Calgary, move on. And in Orlando, Florida. Wait a minute. In Orlando, Florida. That's the way you're supposed to say it. Tanner Jeannot and Nicholas Paul scored power play goals as the Tampa Bay Lightning beat the Florida Panthers 2-0. Jonas Johansson made 25 saves for the shutout. I think it was Spencer Knight in goal last night for the Panthers. When I sit here and say the preseason doesn't matter, I want to clarify something. It matters for your team. As you see, we're following Connor Bedard every day. So that's not to say that it doesn't matter, but I think what happened in Orlando last night, or what's going to happen in Tampa Thursday night when the two teams meet again, or here on Saturday, Panthers and Lightning, none of that really matters come regular season time. But I do have time for the ebbs and flows, the daily debate over what's going on in the preseason games. I guess my point, Darren, is simply don't write anything in stone, write it in pencil. And don't make any assumptions on your team. Like, will Matthew Phillips stay in the top line of the Capitals? I'd be surprised. But Connor Bedard will probably stay in the top line of the Blackhawks. So, fun to debate, right?
It's absolutely fun to debate. And that's the one thing about preseason is when somebody unexpected jumps up and has a great preseason, has some chemistry with some of your stars when given a chance, it just makes you think, maybe there's something there, and maybe we need to give this a shot. So there is some of those wild card factors that do come out in preseason, but you're right. They kind of have an idea how they want to start the team, and I would just temper the expectations and wait and see what that opening night lineup looks like on Tuesday.
Our hockey coverage is brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company in Calgary. Head down to the tap room, 28th Street, Northeast Calgary, Thursday through Saturday, 12 to 8 p.m. They have their own brewery there, their own bar where they show this show on the big screens in Calgary. I can't believe it either. Check out Common Crown Brewing at commoncrown.ca. And quickly, our poll question, which we do daily for our friends at Key Yorkton Kia. The all-new 2024 Kia Sportage reimagines innovation in motion. It pushes the boundaries of urban SUV design and technology with refinement and purpose. Go to KeyYorktonKia.com for more information. The 2024 Kia Sportage, movement that inspires. The question is very simply, what's Canada's game of the week in the Canadian Football League? Friday night, Edmonton at Toronto, where the Argos celebrate 150 years. Winnipeg at BC, where the first place is on the line. That's got my vote. Or one of the two Saturday games in the doubleheader, Hamilton at Saskatchewan, Ottawa at Montreal. You got 24 hours to vote on it. We'll talk about these and other things and celebrate a very big birthday when we come back with Sportsnet's Arash Madani right after this. We are live on the Game Plus television network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Manscaped has done it again, introducing the Handyman Facial Razor. It's brand new and not for your junk. Don't get left in the scruff. It's for up top, and like every Manscaped product, tons of thought has gone into it. Sleek, compact, as you can see, charges by USB. Fits very easily into your shaving kit for those road trips. And right now you can get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with the promo code TheRPShow. Join us, cool guys, with the Handyman, brand new this fall from manscaped.com. The promo code is TheRPShow. Okay, speaking of cool guys, We got Sportsnet's Arash Madani. It's been far too long. The last time I think I followed what you were doing, my dude, was you were at the FIBA World Basketball Championships, which where does that rate on? You've covered Super Bowls, World Series. Is this up there?
Yeah, and Roddy, it was really good to see you, by the way. It's been too long. One of the real cool parts about that whole thing, it felt like I had a front row seat for the coming of age of a program. You know, for the longest time around Canadian basketball, you know, since Steve Nash basically ended his national team career, everybody talked about what if. What if the dudes committed? What if the stars aligned? What if everybody said, let's do this and work towards something? Let's work towards Olympic qualification or doing something at the World Championships. And then they did. For 6 weeks, they came together. Yeah, a few guys weren't there. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander cemented himself as a megastar, and Dylan Brooks proved what a team guy he actually is and can be. And they medaled for the first time ever, and they're going to the Paris Olympics. It was pretty damn cool.
Yeah, well, you did a great job of covering it, and I enjoyed it through your eyes and your social media. Follow them, by the way, everybody, at Arash Madani. Now, the Blue Jays, are we going to find out today what they're all about, or did we find out yesterday in a 3-1 loss in Game 1 what these Blue Jays are all about?
None of the above, Rod. I mean, look, I think we get so caught up in a game. I think what you found out about the Blue Jays was over 162 games. Like, we always talk in baseball about sample sizes. And it really felt like yesterday was a microcosm, a snapshot, an extension. It was 163. That was a lot of what we've seen from the Blue Jays this season. That in a Kevin Gausman start, their offense is MIA. That we've been saying for how long? Just wait, they're too talented, they're too good. And that was kind of on display yesterday. And were there opportunities? Without a doubt. But to me, that was a reflection, you know, that felt like game 163 won more than 162. And what's wild is, even after all that, I don't know about you, it's hard to count them out. It's hard to count them out because they had opportunities yesterday and they just didn't cash in, which, stop if you've heard this before, the Blue Jays didn't convert with runners in scoring position. Seems to be what the last 6 months has been all about.
Yeah, well, Canada's figured it out as a nation because I see the ratings. They're in the millions for Blue Jays games, so nobody's turned their back on them. But I don't think any of us have huge expectations for them either. Now, for whatever reason...
It's interesting, though, Rod, it's interesting because if they win today, to me, they're the overwhelming favorites tomorrow because Chris Bassett gets the ball. Like, this is still one of the highest payroll teams in baseball with probably the best 1-2 punch from starting pitching with Gausman and Bassett. So, October.
Well, I saw their shirts that said "Take October" yesterday. I'm like, take it where? Just win. But I get it. It's exciting. It's fall baseball. Yeah, I love it. Like you. Listen, I don't know why. Two things. Why anybody cheers for the Minnesota Vikings. And two, why a lot of them, the fans, watch this show. But they do. They're like, can you get more Vikings talk? More Vikings talk. And I'm like, why? Aren't you depressed enough? But they did win over the Carolina Panthers on the weekend, which they were favored to do so. How do you think this Kirk Cousins story ends, Arash, here in this final year of his contract?
I don't know, Rod, because he has a no-trade clause in his deal, which not a lot of players in football do. And so if not for that, you know, KC comes to town this weekend. They still have to play Detroit a couple of times. On and on we can get into the schedule. There's San Francisco coming up, you know, a few Mondays from now. The Vikes have talked about this being a competitive rebuild, which there may not be more of an oxymoron in professional sports. You can't do that. You can't be that. That doesn't exist. So is there an opportunity, a time to unload Cousins and his contract this season? Yes, except for that no movement, no trade clause that he has. Look, at some point, this franchise has to rip the Band-Aid off. it's not working. The dude has one career playoff win. You talked about the Carolina game, the pick six, the 99-yard pick six was just, snapshot of who and what Kirk Cousins is. But what happens, I'm not sure, because the quarterback holds the cards in all of this.
Yeah. So 4 weeks into the NFL season, as somebody said to me the other day, we're a month in. Like, that was a long time. Still early, is it not? I mean, are teams not still kind of figuring out what they have? Or can we generalize and say the Bengals are done, the 49ers are winning the NFC? Like, is it not a little early for any generalizations, or how do you feel?
I think the Bengals are done because their quarterback can't move, and that calf injury is going to bother him for at least the next 2 or 3 months. It was so blatantly obvious how much Zach Taylor lied the day Joe Burrow came up limping on a non-contact injury, saying it was a minor calf strain. Since he's finished, that we can automatically put away. Carolina has no hope this season. Bryce Young has a long way to go. Their offensive line is in tatters. I know they traded DJ Moore to get Bryce Young, but Bryce Young also needs some weapons. That's there. The Chicago Bears are toast. I think we can go through the list of teams that are probably finished, but the issue with saying somebody is going to run away with this thing is that you're 2 injuries away from disaster. Casey's figuring it out. They're a championship team, a winning team that knows how to win games. Except we saw opening night, if Travis Kelce's not in the mix, that's an offense that is without an identity. I think the hot take part on the contenders is way too premature, only a month in. But I think the teams that you're going to be seeing at the top of the draft board are pretty obvious, right?
Gotcha. There was a swift decision that the Chiefs lose if Travis Kelce doesn't. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm going to do a nice segue here. Kerry Joseph is with the Seattle Seahawks and doing a great job. Probably an unheralded job because that's Kerry's middle name is unheralded. And it's his birthday today. Won a championship in the CFL with the Rough Riders in 2007. I called those games. You were with the team that brought him into the CFL, the Ottawa Renegades. What's your recollections of KJ on his birthday today?
Well, not just a birthday, Roddy, a milestone birthday, a 50th birthday. And, man, you want to feel old. There he is coaching. Yeah, he's the assistant quarterbacks coach of the Seattle Seahawks right now. And think about what they've dealt with over the last couple of years. Russell Wilson out the door, working with Geno Smith. There he is in Ottawa. There he is in Ottawa where 20 years ago, Rod, a strong safety from the NFL showed up as the 6th quarterback on the depth chart. In 2003, training camp in our nation's capital, Gary was the 6th quarterback at Renegades training camp. And he became the starter that season. He has earned these opportunities. He has persevered. And you mentioned it. 4 years after showing up as the 6th guy on the depth chart, he's lifting a trophy. There it is. In Toronto, knocking off the Blue Bombers. And this is what I say about Kerry Joseph, Rod, and you were around it. I believe this championship, that quarterback, that moment, all that confetti, Gene Mikowski, jumping up and down the podium. Kerry leading the Riders to that championship changed the attitude around that entire franchise. It changed the attitude around the entire province. They hadn't won in forever. The idea of being a championship contender didn't even exist in Saskatchewan until Kerry led them to that trophy. And you think about what is, afterwards foolishly gets dealt to Toronto. He had to endure the Bart Andrus era there. Kerry is not somebody who had, we live in an era where, look at the James Harden situation. There was never an issue with Kerry Joseph anywhere. He was never a locker room distraction. He was never a problem. He's coached. He went back to McNeese State to get his career going in the next chapter of his life and has worked his way into the NFL. I just look at somebody who has worked and earned every opportunity and every accolade. And happy 50th birthday to Kerry Joseph.
When you say that, I would have said 40. So, yeah, I would.
We're
50
old,
snuck.
Rod. That's what that tells us. We're old.
Right. Now, listen, we can spend the rest of our time on this. Ken Austin was with him in both stops, Ottawa and Sask. And Ken's at Auburn now. You know, and he could be in the NFL if he wanted to be, but he wants to be with Hugh Freeze, and he's doing great things. I'm sure you're following what's going on there with Auburn. That was pretty special what Ken can do, too. And what he did with Kerry. That's a special relationship. And by the way, I was smiling when you were talking because when you said foolishly dealt to Toronto, I'm like, I hope this doesn't air in Jackson, Mississippi. It might. You know what I mean. Anyways, on
I
Kent
do.
and
I just have never understood trading a franchise quarterback away for a kicker and cap space. But that's the way things go.
You got a better memory than I do. But Eric Tillman will say that they traded him away because they didn't want to pay him. That was quintessential Eric Tillman stuff right there, was it not? Trading Kerry Joseph at the height of his, I would say popularity, but his height of everything, his playing career, really, in the CFL.
Peak visibility, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So in 90 seconds or less, can you tell me why the Argos don't rate when people are complaining about Toronto sports patheticness in the playoffs, and everybody's going, well, what about the Argos? What about the Raptors? Why does that not matter?
Well, the Raptors haven't done anything since look, they won the championship in 2019, but they haven't done anything since. I think we live in a what have you done for me lately world, 20, 21, 22, 23. And there's who and what are the Raptors right now? They're without an identity. So they're on the long road to nowhere. I think there have been some small incremental steps ahead with the Argos from an attendance standpoint. They just don't move the needle in the city. Has nothing to do with winning, obviously. Has nothing to do with on-field performance, obviously. They just don't. When Toronto FC was winning, that place was cooking. Toronto FC is terrible. They're irrelevant too. The perception I get, Rod, living here, is that the Argos are just viewed as a minor league team, like the Marlies, the AHL Marlies. That is unfair, but it just seems to be what the sports persona is in this city. And it's amazing because what a juggernaut the Argos are on the field. But outside of their very core fan base, they just don't move the needle.
Yeah, well, it might be the best Argos team ever. Well, we are fresh out of time. Thanks for this catch-up, Arash. Let's not wait so long till we do it again.
Always good, Roddy. Thanks, man.
The inimitable Sportsnet's Arash Madani. Stanley Cup champion Brent Sopel joins us live next on your favorite daytime sports talk show. We're live on the Game Plus television network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Hey, Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com. Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop staffed by PGA of Canada professionals is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
RP show continues. Talking hockey today, big hockey hour. Get into football more in hour 2 from here in South Florida. It is always a distinct pleasure to bring on our next guest, the great Brent Sopel. Saskatoon product, 659 games in the National Hockey League. Chicago, Vancouver, LA Islanders, Atlanta, Montreal, which we'll get to in a moment. I don't understand why he's not clean-shaven more, because he's got the face of a model, but he wants to look like a tough guy, because he is a tough guy. How you doing, Sobs? Where are you? It's been far too long.
I got a face for radio, so I am in Chicago. How are you?
Ooh. I'm great, man. I'm great in South Florida. We miss you down here, my friend. I'm hearing in Chicago that the Bedard mania is already taken over and that he's being recognized where he goes, stuff like that. Is that an accurate report?
Yeah, obviously, kid's got skill. You go first overall. Blackhawks, Chicago's a great city. They're hanging their hat on that number one overall pick. Obviously, what happened with the Beach, where the team was, they got some draft picks. They're building around him. He's the future. They're, obviously the Bears, they suck. So baseball's not a sport. So everybody's just hanging their hat on Bedard.
Well, listen, I should have known the guy that told me that. He wouldn't exaggerate. He's like, Connor's getting recognized in Chicago or everywhere he goes. I'm like, hey, no, not like Regina, where people were hiding in his bushes. That wouldn't surprise you either. But they're like, no, I've never been to Chicago, so I wouldn't know. So I guess my question is, how big can this get? How good can he be? And is he the best player on the team right now? Because statistically, he is.
It doesn't take too much to be the best player on the team. What do they have? They don't have much.
How about that?
No disrespect to, obviously Nick Foley. I love what he brings, the veteran presence. I thought that was a great pickup. Corey Perry, I thought that was a great pickup. Taylor Hall, I'm not a fan of him. He's been a very selfish player, so I don't know why. But so they've got some good veteran guys around there. Still can't understand why they got rid of Kane. He could have lived with Bedard could have lived with them, but I don't know much of the Blackhawks organization. They're kind of on their own world right now. But you've never been here. It's a big city, 3-4 million people, but they love their sports. And when the Bears suck as much as they do, the Cubs, the White Sox are all bad. They always focus on a sport. And Bedard's come in. Obviously, started off great. He's going to be a great player. There's no question about that. It's what can you put around him. In hockey, can't one player's not going to win you. So it's what they build around it. Can they develop the other players, and can they have somebody to protect him, because he leaves himself very exposed, in some of his movements. So we'll see what Kyle Davis does so far. He's been decent, for me. We'll see what he puts together.
His best move might be winning the lottery, right? Which he had nothing to do with, but getting Connor Bedard. So I'm with you on that. And for those that don't know, Brent was there when the Blackhawks were not starting over, but building on the way to winning a Stanley Cup in 2010. So he's seen it before. But, you had some really strong words for the Vancouver Canucks. I think it was like the last time you were on here where they kept firing coaches and firing GMs. Do you think they're on the right? We have a lot of viewers in BC on Shaw and TELUS Optic Television, so they want a reason to believe in the Canucks. Can you give it to them today?
Yeah, obviously Rick Tocchet bringing a mentality of hard work, and you can't win the NHL if you don't do that. So at least they have some structure. Obviously with Aquilini's, what the rinse cycle has been on repeat with management all the way from coaches. So they got a good Adam Foote, Gonchar. So they've got some guys that have done some great things in the league. But I just like the mentality. They're going to have a structure. They're going to know how they have to play every single night. And if you look at the best teams, they play that way. Obviously, before this, the last number of years, it was kind of smorgasbord. You didn't know what you're getting. The coaches didn't have a plan, and they weren't buying in. If you're a player and you're not buying into the coach's system, you don't have a chance winning in this league.
Yeah, and I just wonder, you seemed disturbed by how lost in the wilderness that franchise was. You have the Canucks, I sense, here. So do you think that they're coming out of the wilderness then? I mean, obviously you feel Tocchet is a step in the right direction anyways.
Obviously they're the one that drafted me. They're the one that gave me the opportunity to play in the league and win a Stanley Cup. So obviously my heart is with them. They're the ones that took a leap in the 6th round and take the slowest and ugliest guy in the WHL. So my heart's with them. It's a great city. It's a great organization. We had some great runs, and that building was electric. When we're playing ball, they get behind you, just like any other Canadian city. And you never want to see any NHL franchise go that way. And it's a great city. It's somewhere on Saturday Hockey Night in Canada. Some of my best memories were we're playing in the gym, in the rink here. So I love it. They're on the right track, that's for sure.
Well, listen, if they didn't know what kind of type of player they were getting, they could have called me. I was calling your games with the Blades and the Broncos. I could have told them, hey, listen, would the power go out there? Are you good? Are you all right for 2 more minutes?
They're all on the way on the other room that I got to go and get, and I got to get up and go over there. That's good timing, see?
I'm trying to clap for you, Soaps. It's not working. What's up with you? You got all your various charitable endeavors and so forth. What can we promote today?
Yeah, again, Brent Sopel Foundation. It's actually October is Dyslexia Awareness Month, so your timing is impeccable. See, my timing is not very good, as you can tell by my motion sensors, but it's Dyslexia Awareness Month. So, Brent Sopel Foundation, as you know, We operate, there for anybody, any point in time, no matter what it's substance abuse or mental health or learning disorders. Reach out. Always trying to help anybody, whoever that is, however that is. I don't care who you are. I'll do my best.
Your story is amazing, man. I'm so proud of what you've overcome and continue to overcome. It's wild. Give him a follow, Brent Sopel, on social media, and the Brent Sopel Foundation, separate accounts, doing great things there. It's good to see you. Enjoy the hockey, my man, and stay close.
Keep the sunscreen on there in Florida.
I got you. Trust me, I will. Brent Sopel joining us, the Stanley Cup champion and all-around great guy. We'll be right back with a sports update and audience takeover in a moment. We are live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpedersenshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpedersenshop.com.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, audience takeover time if you're down. I didn't even get to all of our quick 6 show topics earlier, so I'm just going to morph that into the sports update in a moment. Bomber Boy writes in from Calgary, and he says that Toronto and Chicago, 2 original 6 teams with zero shame, openly tanking and being rewarded with number 1 picks. You still had to win a lottery, bro. And he goes, odorous coincidence, in my opinion. That's from Bomber Boy in Calgary. And, yeah, he's turned it into a bashing Toronto comment. We're not going to do that here. We love Toronto. We don't understand it, but we love it. And we are live on Game Plus Television. Did I tell you that? Anchored in downtown Toronto. We've got a lot of comments coming in. Well, Jays fans, obviously. Bill Edwards writes in from the Queen City. Go, Jays, go. Ray Henderson writes in from Tryon, North Carolina. He says, go Blue Jays today and tomorrow. Go Bombers Friday. You are the CFL ambassador to the USA, regardless of who the Prime Minister is. Thank you, Ray, in Tryon, North Carolina. I'll tell you something. I see a lot of what's going on in Canada right now. Just rallies and stuff and so forth, and what I'm seeing in the news. And I'm like, you guys going to run down what's happening in America? Really? Whew. The sports update I was referring to, newly hired John Herdman will take in his first Toronto FC game as head coach tonight when the cellar-dwelling MLS club visits Charlotte FC. And I'm going to tell you, I'm envious of that. Oh, Charlotte is a beautiful city, and Charlotte FC plays right in the home of the Carolina Panthers, Bank of America Stadium. You tune in for that, everybody. The former Canada coach, John Herdman, will observe from the sidelines while interim coach Terry Dunfield runs the show. I laugh because I have no clue. I can't get into soccer culture. I'll watch the games. I'm too old. It's too late in life to understand why. If you're going to fire the coach, fire him and put in the next coach. You're going to ease him in for the last 6 weeks and then have him watch tonight? Hey, I'm clearly the odd one. I'm at fault that I don't understand it, but I don't think at this stage of the game I'm ever going to understand it. Elsewhere tonight, CF Montreal hosts Houston, and the Vancouver Whitecaps are home to St. Louis. Something I do understand, the Battle of Alberta fires up tonight in Edmonton as preseason hockey continues with the Oilers hosting the Calgary Flames. Meanwhile, the Vancouver Canucks take on the Seattle Kraken in another Pacific Division clash in Abbotsford, British Columbia. That's part of a 5-game slate in the National Hockey League. This hour just zoom, 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 went by like crazy. We'll slow it down. It was an awesome hour, but we'll slow it down next hour when the Moose rejoins. And I want to also say something about Brent Sopel. I may invent a term here, but Brent, he raced through it, but he's a dyslexia sufferer, which frankly led to substance abuse issue. I've interviewed him for my recovery podcast. He's in recovery like me from substance abuse, but he grew up with dyslexia, and I would call it, and maybe there is a term for it, I would call it invisible disabilities. Brent grew up going to school in Saskatoon. He couldn't read because he had dyslexia. He didn't know that until I think it was, well into adulthood. So he ran around beating people up for a living. And with everything that came along with that, he became an addict, an alcoholic. It was not a pretty story. He's got it all straightened out now. And now his daughter's dealing with dyslexia. So that's why I say he continues to battle with invisible disabilities. Some have visible ones, some have invisible ones. He was born with a lot of gifts, as was I. We're not sitting here complaining or victimizing ourselves, just saying it's a positive story. and it can be for others. Sports updates for Common Crown Brewing. They have the perfect craft beer for your enjoyment, like their Core 5, Good Company Hazy Pale Ale, Common Crown Crafted Lager, Journeyman IPA, Brewmaster Blonde Ale, and Coppersmith Brown Ale. 4 of them sit below 5% ABV, making them the ideal beer. We'll see you next hour after this quick pause on Game Plus and WQEE.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Some leather-lunged New Yorker. He's cheering for the Panthers, but he's behind me, and he was making all these jokes. He's like, yeah, the Panthers are losing by a hair. You know, I heard these Florida fans are rabid, but this is ridiculous. Anyways, and then security came down. Woo, right from everybody, because the rabbit's not hurting anybody. I was kind of hoping the rabbit would crap all over the kids.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. As I say, we're happy to be here, but in this business, we're happy to be anywhere. Trust me. Oh, having so much fun. I don't know. Clark's going to try and get a hold of Moose DuPont. We don't know where he is. That's okay. He is allegedly the co-host of this show. But I've made two people snort coffee out their nose today from things that I've said that have made them laugh. And really, that is what makes today a win. And I'm going to open this up. Stuart Smith is watching in Vancouver. And he said, I laughed so hard at your Joe Namath comment that coffee came out of my nose. How about that, Clark? So while we're waiting to bring in Moose, we can handle this all together, you and me. I don't really know what's happening with this show, but that's not new. I haven't really known what's been happening around me for half a century. But we were talking yesterday. Well, everybody's been talking about the biggest celebrity in sports and the world, frankly, or if I may, North America for sure. Pop singer Taylor Swift and Kansas City Chiefs receiver Travis Kelce, tight end Travis Kelce. And I don't understand it. People are saying, oh, it's because of social media. No, that's not it. I mean, why are the television cameras at the games that Kelce plays in focused on the luxury suite that she's in? Even Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen never went through this kind of hysteria and hype. And she's a world-famous supermodel. But anyways, I just said, okay, we're going to bring the Moose in. He knows exactly where I'm going with this because we talked about it this morning. And I just said, I don't get it. Well, we talked about it yesterday. Joe Namath, if you don't like the term nailing, I'll use another. Joe Namath was shagging everybody in the 60s in New York, and nobody cared. Why is it a thing now? And Ron Duguay, of all people, and I bring this up because our audience is very familiar with these names. Joe Namath, who I looked up today, the Hall of Fame quarterback of the New York Jets, is 80 years of age. He's from Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania. Ron Duguay wrote in to our Instagram and goes, 60s, yes. And then there were the 70s. Referring to himself, Ron Duguay. It was like Joe Namath did his thing in the 60s on Broadway, and then Duguay took over in the 70s. He owned it. And so anyways, there was a viewer in Vancouver, Stuart, who said he snorted coffee out his nose when he saw that comment. And I guess this is a good time for you to drop in, Darren. I'll try and go back to some of the comments here from the audience in a second, but it's not I don't believe it's a social media thing. It's very clearly the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift thing. It's the thing to do, to talk about it and follow it. But I'm not sure that it has anything to do with social media unless I've completely misread it. You?
I mean, social media amplifies it, no doubt. But no, it's the thing of the day. And it's not about, you mentioned Tom and Giselle. This would have been more like, I don't know who would have been, comparative to Taylor Swift. Like if this was 5 years ago, it's not drawing the same headlines as it is today. Like everything, the worlds collide perfectly. The Kansas City Chiefs are like the new America's team right now, winning Super Bowls and being on top, and Mahomes is on the cover of the magazine, and Kelsey's got the podcast, and wasn't he on the TV show too? So he's got a little of that star power. But then Taylor Swift is in the middle of the biggest, musical pop culture tour of all time. Like they're talking about her with Michael Jackson and Prince in the same breath. She wasn't the same 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 15 years ago. She's at her height today. He's at his height today. They're both, stars, and that's how often do we see two people at the absolute top of their field come together? It's very rare. This is like even bigger than Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie back in the day. So this is pretty wild.
I guess. I'm thinking
doesn't mean we care
Michael
about
Jackson and Priscilla Presley. Well, we're talking about it, so clearly we do a little bit. From the Barflies in Winnipeg says it's all about the likes nowadays. Oh, it's all ball bearings nowadays. It's all ball bearings. Jeff the Stamps fan says, some say she's just dating Kelce for more publicity. It's working. Well, we looked into this a couple of weeks ago. She don't need the publicity. She's got 100 million Instagram followers. The NFL doesn't even have a third of that. She's not benefiting from this. The NFL is, and Travis Kelce. Right. And I am going to move on here very quickly. Well, hey, Carlos in Indianapolis watching. He says Taylor Swift is either very close to or has reached team distraction status for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I will say this. I'm glad he brought that up because this is, this show topic is like piping one right down the middle over the plate for me for what I want this show to be, and that is daytime sports talk, the view for sports fans. See what I'm saying? So if you've got a really good coach, and then you can morph in the recovery coach thing, because I was, I don't think I told you this, my recovery business has gotten quiet lately. I haven't been helping a lot of people. I'm helping some, but not as many as I normally do. And I'm not even going to say the league because I don't want, and because it's an anonymous business, but I had a guy call me today, sports figure, who just said, I need you to help my brother. And I told my brother that I would trust you with my life. Will you help my brother? I'm like, yes! Damn it, yes! Have him call me. So my point is I enjoy all this. I like helping people. I like talking about this. And it had been slow. So it's picking up. Point, I'll land the plane. Distraction status of Taylor Swift. Do you think, now this is next level, yes. But do you think Andy Reid couldn't handle this? They won Sunday. They have not lost since this relationship became public. So I sit here and enjoy hearing or watching these little, well, I call them mini crises in sports. How is this a crisis? Do you know what I mean? Team distractions. So he's dating Taylor Swift, big deal. I think it's the first time that I got to be careful because I don't want to get canceled here. But if it was a lesser coach than Andy Reid, I might be worried. It's a little like the Argos and our friend Kirk from Toronto who writes in and says, I'm worried that the Argos are going to clinch first too soon. Then they're going to have nothing to play for. You're worried about that? I guess if you didn't have a coach as strong as Ryan Didwitty, it's something to worry about. And I'll just lastly say this, and then I'll let you take over. You're the co-host. I had a guy call me, a hockey coach, about a year and a half ago now, and he goes, I need you to help one of my guys. He's having a major mental health crisis. And I said, oh, what is it? Well, he's having suicidal thoughts. I'm like, that's not major at all. That's a brain malfunction. We deal with that all the time. Give him my number. So, suicidal thoughts versus your tight end dating Taylor Swift, I can tell you which is a little more serious. You know what I mean? Yeah. You think Andy Reid can't handle this is my question to you?
No, he can handle this. I get the distraction where you got players, coming out. Is Taylor Swift going to be here? Is she walking down the tunnel with us? Is she going to be out there? And then looking up in the box, being like, who is my fiance up there or my significant other? Who's hanging out, right? And then Ryan Reynolds was in there, and the guy who played the Wolverine, Hugh Jackman, was in there, and everybody's in the box. It's becoming, might as well be LA. They're all going to Kansas City of all places. But
I thought the same thing.
Right. But you know what? For a lesser team, I would maybe be worried. But for a lesser team, what a great opportunity to get ready for what lies ahead. Like, you don't think Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs have had to deal with distractions at all the Super Bowls they've been to? This is a great way to simulate that. The distraction is going to be the same, right? The environment, it almost feels like a Super Bowl every week for them. So I think it's great. I think other teams who have never been in that environment would fold, but they've been there. They've been around. They've been to Super Bowls. They can handle it.
A lesser coach might have a problem with it. What I'm saying here, but Andy Reid, he's fine. And you brought up L.A. It's like if I may, and you're in this circle, who have we become friends with since we've really started this show? Bernie Nichols, Ron Duguay, Kelly Rudy. I knew him before, but we've gotten close since this show. They all played on that Kings team, those Kings teams in the late 80s and early 90s with Gretzky. They went to the Stanley Cup final because Barry Melrose could handle the fact that Cher was coming through and John Candy and Tony Robbins and Sylvester Stallone. If he couldn't, he would have said, get the hell out. Some coaches would have. And that's their right because that's their domain. But Andy Reid's can't tell you a player who to date and what not today. And again, they haven't lost yet. And if you notice, Kelsey had a touchdown the other night. Not a big deal. Glenn Erickson, which, by the way, I love. My favorite demographic is this 55-plus demographic because I feel like I'm speaking to them every day. You just told me that college in Toronto, the young people there really love this show, so that's nice to hear. But Glenn Erickson writes in and says, you know Glenn, golf guy from Medicine Hat. He says, the old guard will recall that Joe Namath had it going on with Anne Margaret back in the day, too. And don't confuse her with Anne Margrock from the Flintstones. He said Namath was a player. Who wasn't Joe Namath with, Glenn? In Medicine Hat? Joe Namath was with everybody, and so was Duguay. You just didn't hear about it as much, but that's another story. Can I tell you something about Anne Margaret? You don't know anything about her either, Derek. Google her later. Ooh, she was a beautiful little number. But in the lobby of the Sleep Inn motel in Minot, North Dakota, they have a wall of fame signed 8x10s, and my photo is right beside Anne Margaret's.
How about that?
Serious?
How about that? Absolutely. If somebody wants to send a photo in, and I think on the other side is Conway Twitty. Hey, that would be a great Jeopardy question. What do Anne Margaret, Rod Pedersen, and Conway Twitty all have in common? Their photos are side by side in the lobby of this Minot Sleep Inn.
That's unbelievable.
Paul Jefferson in Humboldt writes in, he says, mini crises, like when Gretzky took on the media criticism so the players focused on hockey. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't really remember that. Tell me when and where that happened. It's been so long. It's been over 20 years ago. I don't know how I can remember Joe Namath's bedpost notches better than I can remember some other things, but I was a Namath fan. Which, by the way, when we come back in the next segment, we'll talk about tonight's games, we'll talk about baseball, we could actually talk sports, but we're supposed to be talking life here too, as you know. The poll question today is what's Canada's game of the week in the Canadian Football League, and I do want to get to that. But it's a very big day in sports in that the Blue Jays are facing elimination at Minnesota, Game 2 of their wild card series, and I'd love to know if you think the Jays are going to win today. I mean, I can't. Now we're getting somewhere. Arash said the loss yesterday, 3-1 to the Twins, was basically game 163 of the season. He's like, that's what the Blue Jays are. And I've seen it enough in my life that the playoffs aren't a new season in a lot of ways for most teams. You are what you are. What the Florida Panthers accomplished last year, the playoffs were an entirely new season for them. Look at them going to the Stanley Cup final. But those are what the Blue Jays are, what we saw yesterday. And I don't see that changing today. I think they're going to lose. You?
I think they're going to win for no other reason than to just have a feeling. And I just, if they get to Game 3, then maybe anything happens. But Arash is right. That game, it was exactly the same frustrations we've had with this team all year.
Yes.
They didn't play, 3 runs against is not insurmountable lead. That it wasn't like Minnesota was just hitting everything out of the park. I mean, the 2 home runs, but it's 3-1. But that's the Jays. Can't cash the runs in. And there's no evidence to think that it's going to change, but you know what? I just have a feeling they'll win tonight.
Yeah. Well, I hope you're right. I shouldn't have opened up the text line while we were still on the air because my mind just spaced. But I'll say this. I was watching the game. The guy that came in for the Twins reliever Griffin Jacks. I never heard of him before. You all know I'm not the biggest baseball guy. Couldn't name the Jays starting 9, let alone every other team. I look him up because I'm like, he looks like my kind of guy. From Phoenix, Arizona, Griffin Jacks. His dad played for the Dallas Cowboys, Arizona Cardinals for 10 years. His wife's in the military. Oh, and in the offseason, Griffin Jacks, the Twins pitcher, is a American Air Force's pilot. I'm like, how can I cheer against this guy? I automatically love him. He plays for Minnesota. Anyways, we got a break. We'll come back. And get into serious sports. Trust me, we will. The reason I spaced was, I said, now we're on all these, what'd you tell me today? 1.4 million new homes. That's right. I just got a call from a guy, Mike, a text, Mike Sewells, old hockey trainer. He just texted in 902-518-33. Rod, it's Sewells. Give me a call sometime. I've been here the whole time, Sewells, on this channel every day. We just showed up on your television like I've been gone. I've been here. Where have you been? We'll be right back on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
2 million liters of power creates electricity. Electricity creates.
View Casino. Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. you will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact The Rod Pedersen Show today.
All right, everybody. Hey, Manscaped has done it again. Have you heard the news? Introducing the Handyman Facial Razor. It's brand new, not for your junk. It's for up top. And like every Manscaped product, tons of thought has gone into it. I got one here. Where did I put it? They found me in Florida, Manscaped. Let's bring Moose on. He's got one, too. He's a bigger fan of it than me for his own reasons, but it's sleek, it's compact, fits in your shaving kit for those road trips. I'm telling you, is Moose there? Charges by USB? How about that? What do they think of next? You can get 20% off right now. Simplify your road game. Don't get left in the scruff. Get 20% off and free shipping with the promo code TheRPShow from manscaped.com. Darren, they really want to talk about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce and Joe Namath. I'm pretty much done with that, and I am going to move on. I'm sure you want to, too, to the CFL games. But Brian in Hudson Bay, he's part of the Rod Squad. He watches every day, SaskTel Max, Channel 427. He said, Rod, Joe Namath was still trying when he was pretty much over the hill with Susie Colbert on the sidelines on Monday Night Football. Can I kiss you? LOL. I'll have you know, Joe Namath never drank again after that night. What a rock bottom. He entered recovery and got sober after that. Nobody thought he ever could. So, again, when your rock bottom occurs on Monday Night Football, they say the recovery is as bad as the rock bottom was, the comeback is equally as good. Rob in Cold Lake, Alberta writes in and says, is Taylor Swift the Yoko Ono of the Kansas City Chiefs? And that's almost a little before my time, but Darren, if you don't know, and if I hope I have this right, she's the one that got John Lennon to leave the Beatles. And Janet Gretzky, Janet Jones in the 80s, was referred to as the Yoko Ono of her time, getting Wayne out of the Edmonton Oilers. And I would think this is a facetious question. Is Taylor Swift the Yoko Ono of the Kansas City Chiefs, as you say, because Travis Kelce's not going anywhere? I just feel like, if I can speak for them, they're just having fun. You know what I mean? Isn't that, if they can speak for themselves, they were just having fun with each other. We're just trying each other on for size. Don't you get that sense?
Could a guy hope that she's the Yoko Ono of the Chiefs? Like maybe she's going to get Travis Kelce into Nashville to play with the Titans. That'd be okay, right? Doesn't she live in Nashville?
Yeah, well, doesn't she? Listen, I'm just going to stop even trying to move on. And people love the stories more anyways. But you and I were on a tour bus in Nashville, Tennessee. Remember? We might have even been sitting together side by side. And we drove by that high rise on the way in from the airport to downtown Nashville. And the driver's like, Taylor Swift lives on the top floor of that condo building right there. And it reminded me of a city tour I had of Manhattan in 2010 on the hop-on, hop-off bus, the double-decker buses. And the tour guide was like, Derek Jeter lives on the top floor of that condo high-rise. It was down on Lower East Side Manhattan. And I'm like, I'm sure Derek Jeter would love that you're telling every tourist that comes through New York where he lives. Same thing as Taylor Swift, but whatever.
Yeah, but we were on a drive. I think the top was off the Jeep, and we're going down beautiful South Florida. And didn't she look at me and say, and that's where Oprah Winfrey lives, right over there.
Yeah. But how did I know that? That's local lore.
That's
yes.
right.
I live blocks from Oprah, interestingly enough. And this is so funny. I had a guy, he might be watching right now, Jeff, the hotelier to the stars. You know him. Hotel magnate, Jeff. He texted me today. I said, I'm going to call you because this is too long to text back. He goes, how's the Cats and Bolts podcast going? It's the one Serena and I started on the Panthers and the Lightning. I said, it's changed my life. in every regard. It has literally changed my life. Busier than I've ever been, which I shouldn't have been. But all the Panthers guys want to come on that instead of this show. I'm like, no, guys. This is still the OG. But Bill Lindsay's like, can I swing by your studio today? I have it on my text. I'm like, I'm doing the show from home today, Bill. We'll meet later. I'll drive the Jeep down to you. He's like, oh, okay. Okay, Bomber Boy in Calgary writes in and says, today is CFL trade deadline day. Is the Zach Caleros trade with seconds to spare the best deadline deal to happen in the CFL? I will talk CFL. I will not talk about the CFL trade deadline because I'm sure TSN, the official television rights holder, had wall-to-wall coverage of the CFL trade deadline today. We don't need to talk about it. But I'll say no. Jerome Messam, 2015, from the Saskatchewan Roughriders to the Calgary Stampeders for Tyler Krapina, the kicker from Nepean, Ontario, was the greatest trade in trade deadline history. No, you're right, Bomber Boy. You asked the question you already knew the answer to, so no soup for you. Larry Sweet is watching in North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and he says, Rod, tell everyone Coach Dinwiddie has got everything under control with the games left on the schedule. They will be ready for the Eastern Finals. He's talking about his son Chris's team, the Toronto Argonauts, who were able to put it in neutral and just coast down the hill with a month to go in the regular season. It's almost the earliest any of us have ever heard a team clinching first and then resting their guys. And Larry Sweet, watching in South Carolina, is like, the Argos have it handled, which I knew that they would. It goes back to what we're all singing from the same hymn book here. If you have a strong coach, it's fine. Now, we have had coaches that aren't strong, and that's another story. And I'm not today, don't feel like getting into those stories. When there are distractions that completely destroy a team, seen that happen. But I've largely been around the really good coaches. It's funny because I was thinking about Ken Austin again, 2007 when we won the Grey Cup with the Riders. He never came back for the 89 reunion. He never came back for the 07 reunion. I'm not going back for the 2013 reunion because we're looking forward. We're not reunion guys. You know, but I will say something about the 2013 season that will be honored this Saturday night in Regina, that when they had the brawl for it all on Dewdney Avenue, August 18th, 2013, when our football team, at least 4 players brawled a gang in downtown Regina. 4 got charged, were in court the following Monday. It brought the team together. And do you remember that, Darren? Do you remember that?
I do.
They fought a gang. They beat the hell out of a drug dealer. I said, these guys should be given medals. You're charging them? Which, incidentally, as Roy Shivers would say, and he wasn't even our GM at the time, charged but never prosecuted. Big difference. Hey,
right.
Spend a minute on this week's games in the Canadian Football League. And the poll question, I don't even need to open it. This isn't even fair.
No.
What's Canada's game of the week in the Canadian Football League? It's brought to you by our friends at Kia Auto Group. The all-new 2024 Kia Sportage reimagines innovation in motion. It pushes the boundaries of urban SUV design and technology with refinement and purpose. Go to KeyYorktonKia.com for more information. The 2024 Kia Sportage, movement that inspires. Canada's game. I will just do you a favor and look it up on Twitter. Clark, what are they saying on YouTube there for the vote? Winnipeg, BC is dominating. Where is it? 77% of the vote. Only 12% voting for the Tiger Cats and the Rough Riders in that Hall of Fame game I mentioned. 9% Edmonton and Toronto, which I've got time for. The Argos' 150-year reunion anniversary of the team being celebrated that night. I guess they're flying a flag at City Hall downtown Toronto today in honor of the Argonauts. And Ottawa at Montreal has only 2% of the vote. And I don't even want to spend a whole lot more. Michael Wynn is Michael Wynn is watching at Ice Time Sports in Winnipeg, the sporting goods store, and he says, Broadway Joe, legendary. We were calling out Michael Wynn from Ice Time Sports in Winnipeg in hour one for cheering for the Minnesota Twins. But I can't really do that, because when I say you do you, I have to stand by that and say you do you. But I think, how could you not cheer for the Toronto Blue Jays, for God's sakes, if you lived in Toronto? But maybe I'm not done with the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift story, Darren, because Placeline, New York. Aaron Rodgers revealed Tuesday he has an ankle injury in addition to the torn left Achilles tendon that he is rehabbing after surgery. The Jets quarterback said he's dealing with a deltoid issue, which is the main ligament of the inner ankle. Rodgers was wearing an ankle brace while walking with crutches on the sideline before the Jets' 23-20 loss to the Chiefs. I believe he said that on the McAfee show. I think you got rapper J. Cole breaking news about Kaepernick. You got McAfee breaking the big news. And in that interview, did Aaron Rodgers not refer to Travis Kelce as Captain Pfizer?
Yes, he did. Because Travis Kelce he's in a Pfizer commercial, or he's got an endorsement with Pfizer for some sort of, I think it must be a COVID vax or some sort of vax or something like that. And we know Aaron Rodgers is an anti-vax guy, but I want to clarify, he's more of a natural path kind of guy, right? It's his new surgery, it's everything, it's all that kind of stuff. So yeah, he called him Captain Pfizer, I think, on the Pat McAfee show, and that's pretty funny.
Okay.
The guys were busting.
Well, then this is how demented my mind is. Pfizer is also the drug manufacturer company of Viagra. So that's what I thought he was referring to Travis Kelce as,
Captain
with Taylor
Pfizer.
Swift. Yes.
That's what Swift should be, or Kelce, that's the joke he would go back to Rodgers with, because Rodgers is the old guy in the league. But I digress.
Yeah, I may be Captain Pfizer, but you're Captain Viagra.
Yes.
I'm missing something in the online chat. Couple things here. Arlen Bruce III writes in and says, jail and prison are two different things. Yes, one's federal, one's provincial, one's state, one's federal. Sure. I know what that is. Did you know that, Darren?
I didn't. Learned something new today.
I've been around the block a time or two, and clearly so is AB. Kevin the Medium says 25% of listeners on YouTube are not CFL fans. Okay. Ryan H. in Toronto says, I thought it was a Viagra joke too, Rod. Okay, well, it's not just me then. Captain Pfizer. It's the first thing I thought. Jeff Gordon writes in and says, here's the bigger question for CFL trade deadline. Will there even be a trade done today? The one-year contracts make it almost nil. And that's why I am not talking about the CFL trade deadline, because it is not a thing. And Buffalo Bill says, I know where I'm stopping on Monday in Minot. Picture of Rod's pick at the Sleep Inn. For those that don't know, there's an 8x10 of me autographed in the lobby of the Sleep Inn right between Conway Twitty and Anne Margaret. It's a true story. Okay, Moose. I'll see you a little later.
You bet.
Derek Wigan of the Calgary Stampeders joins us next on our weekly CFL Players Association Spotlight, presented by Sober Carpenter, the official non-alcoholic craft beer of the RP Show. We'll be right back on Game Plus Television, WQEE, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
902 518 3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902 518 3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. It's one of my favorite times of the week, our weekly CFL Players Association Spotlight presented by Sober Carpenter Non-Alcoholic Craft Beers. You can check them out at sobercarpenter.com and find a vendor near you, like in Calgary, Kensington Beer Market or Calgary Co-op. They sell it there. Sold out last I checked. Home of the Stampeders. Derek Wigan joins us on a bye week, and I'm going to immediately thank him for that. Stud defensive lineman of the Calgary Stampeders. And Derek, I'm not going to sit here and grill you yet about the state of the Stampeders. I just, right, you're a career Stamp. This is new to you all. I know that. But how's the bye week going? Yeah, well, how's the bye week going? Let's start with a happy story. What are you doing this week to keep busy?
Just been relaxing, doing some chores, playing some video games, just kind of restore the mind for these last 3 games here.
Oh, good for you. Well, for those that don't know, and the CFL fans all do because you've been in the CFL a long time. I'm not calling you old or anything, but 2014 draft, spent his entire time with the Stampeders, won a Grey Cup there in 2018. Now, you piqued my interest. What video games are you playing?
Usually play Apex Legends with a couple of the guys, and Elden Ring. I like to play action adventure games, so that's what I got my teeth into right now.
Gotcha. Cool. Now, you mentioned resting your body. You've been through many bye weeks in a long CFL career. How much can you really rest up at this time of the season? It's week 18. How much health recovery do you get?
I think it's really just like, you know, those extra bumps and bruises that you can't really get like the full treatment time in. You get treated on those things, and a lot of times it's just staying off your feet and just like, you know, getting those extra hours sleep, you know, just during the season. It kind of gets bunched up because going from the next game to the next game, so the bye week's always that chance to just restore, just like, you know, make sure that there's nothing wrong coming out of the bye week.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, you've been, you know, COVID aside, like a decade with the Calgary Stampeders, and you're a Toronto guy. What's more home to you, Toronto or Calgary? Both grand cities, but what's more home to you?
I would say, well, back home, my parents and friends. So like, Toronto's always going to be home. But Calgary, I definitely you know, I live here most of the year. So basically, yeah, Calgary is home. Yeah, Toronto will always be home, but Calgary's home.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to grill you or get you in trouble, but I'm just one, because that's a significant portion of your life is in Calgary. Now, if money was no object and it's your birthday, where in Calgary are you going for supper? Where are you going to treat yourself on a big meal? Money is not an object.
Oh, that's a tough question. Have you been to Major Tom out here?
No, but I heard about it.
Yeah, I'm definitely hitting up Major Tom. You know, I'm getting a couple things on the menu there. The cheese bread's pretty good. Yeah, I think I'm getting the market price steak at Major Tom if money's not an option.
How about that?
Wow. Yeah, no, not at all. As a matter of fact, you're the second guy to mention that. I've spent the last 2 summers in Calgary, and why I didn't get to, I'm a keg guy. Listen, I'm son of a cattle rancher here. I love my beef, but I never went to Major Tom's. Yeah, so that'll be next on the list. Now, you're a recognizable guy. You've been a Stampeder a long time. What are Stamps fans saying to you? What like, nobody's used to it in Calgary, battling for a playoff spot this time of year. So how are you dealing with it?
Just from the fans wise, a lot of asking, like, you know, you got like those close games we used to win, like not coming up close, pulling it out on that one. So it's just a lot of like, what's going on, like, you know, what's the morale of the team, things like that. And it's just kind of, you know, it's kind of like, yeah, right, it's new territory, but at the end of the day, we're close in those games. We just got to finish.
Are you one of those guys that's got to stand up and say something, or are you not? I mean, I know Bo was there for a long time and he's gone now, but I heard he wasn't the most vocal guy in the locker room. Who are those guys for the Stampeders right now, aside from the coaching staff, that are kind of being leaned on to provide leadership?
You know, I consider myself part of that leadership group. Mike Rose, Reggie Bagleton, Mark and Michelle, guys that have been here, guys been around for like the, you know, that 2016, 18 run, like guys like that have been around for that. So like, we're just really just trying to keep everyone together. And, you know, like, unfortunately, we haven't gotten the results we've wanted, but like, no one's given up. No one's given up at all. Like, we're all fighting, practicing hard, and coming to the game, just giving it what we can.
Of course, you're winners. You guys have won together. So when you come back, can you realistically kind of start over and flush everything? Because you're still in the playoff race. Is that, you know, what's the focus going to be? And you do have the huge game against SAS coming up. So how, you know, is that a realistic expectation to kind of start over?
Yeah, you have to. You know, it's end of week 1-0 every week, right? So we can't focus on outside the building. We can't control that. But inside the building, we can control how we prepare, how we practice, how we prepare ourselves. You know, we got like big game. So let's take care of that big game, see where the cards lay out, right? Like that's kind of, you always can control executing and going to get the win. After that, hey, we'll go on to the next week, try to get another win and just continue that process.
My last question for you, I always ask the guys in these CFLPA spotlights for Sober Carpenter is, what made you want to be a player rep? Why was that important to you, and what do you like about it?
So for me, it was going into, like, I was always interested because, you know, we've had great rep. Jamar Wall was a rep. Just like kind of some of the older guys, kind of I've been there a long time. I don't know if I could say older than me, but those guys, seeing how they went through the process as an alternate, and then during then once COVID hit, and you know, I was the alternate, the only CFL rep left on the team because Wall and Ante were on different weren't on the team in 22. So it was just for me. It's just like, hey, like I have an idea what's going on. I've kind of been one of the older guys here, so let me kind of step up and try to make sure guys are in the know going through that whole CBA process to start a camp last year. So I just kind of stepped in from there. This is kind of like officially my second year being a rep, but I kind of feel like I've been a rep for a little longer.
Well, as you say, you're part of the leadership group, so that goes along with it. And I appreciate the time today, especially on a bye, because I know you guys value your rest. You need your rest. And we've never had a chance to chat, so I'll say congratulations on a stellar career so far, and good luck getting into the playoffs and the rest of the way. Thank you, Derek.
Hey, Rod, it's a pleasure. Appreciate you having me on. And yeah, appreciate the luck, and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you, sir. Derek Wiggin of the Calgary Stampeders, number 97. He is a load. Tough to block. We'll be right back with overtime after this. We are live on the Game Plus television network. That's channel 230, Shaw Rogers Cable across Alberta, BC, Manitoba, Sask, and TELUS Optic channel 924 in Alberta and BC. Also WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpedersenshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpedersenshop.com.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Okay, Overtime is a presentation, as you all should know by now, of Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Stop in and see Randy and Michelle there. They got new hours. What is it, guys? 9 to 10, Monday through Saturday. Overtime Hockey Lanes, 28th Street Northeast in Calgary. Just a couple of blocks away from Common Crown Brewery. It's unbelievable. Overtime Hockey Lanes is where skill and fun collide, an amusement park for hockey players. And since I was there, which it's only been a month, but they've got all kinds of new things there like Focky, foosball hockey. I have to be very careful when I say that. But it's ideal for team outings, staff parties, birthdays, fully licensed. Overtime Hockey Lanes. It's one of the greatest places I've ever been in my life, and I'm not pulling your leg. I'm pretty excited, actually. I'm always excited, but very big event coming Saturday to Canada's Queen City, Regina, Saskatchewan. The Stanley Cup is coming. My good friend Bob Lowe is the assistant player personnel director of the Vegas Golden Knights. I got to get this right. And his beautiful wife, Shelley, putting on a fundraiser with the Stanley Cup in attendance for a donation to InPower, which is a group raising support and funds for support of women battling breast cancer, which Shelley has, and she's a survivor. For a donation to InPower, you'll get a reserved spot in line to get your picture taken with a Stanley Cup. 2 till 4 p.m. Saturday at the Cooperator Center in Regina, 2 till 4. So I would suggest you show up early, make your donation, get your picture with Lord Stanley. And Bobby Lowe's is going to be with us on the show tomorrow to talk about it. So I'm really interested and excited to interview Lowesy. I've interviewed him, I was thinking about that this morning, at least a couple hundred times. Well, more than that. He was the coach of the Regina Pats for 3 years when I was with the team. It's a lot of interviews. And congratulations, Lowesy. That's Saturday, so get your spot. Baseball's postseason is into its second day, and the Toronto Blue Jays are already in must-win mode. A 3-1 loss to the Twins in Tuesday's American League Best-of-3 Wild Card Series opener has left Toronto in a bind. Down 1-0 Jose Barrios starts for the Jays in Game 2 this afternoon at Target Field in Minneapolis. It's interesting, by the way. We're all going to be watching. I'm enjoying the coverage, the pundits, the analysis of what people are saying. But they're like, if it gets to Game 3, Toronto will have the advantage because Chris Bassett will be on the mound. I'm like, we were supposed to have the advantage in Game 1 with Gosman. So if they don't start manufacturing some offense, it ain't going to matter. It's going to be over. Tampa Bay is also in elimination mode in their AL wildcard series with the Rangers winning Game 1 4-0. Lowest attendance for a game in the World Series, in the playoffs since the 1919 World Series. How about that?
How about that?
And again, you see that I don't talk much about attendance in any leagues anymore because why? The owners clearly don't care. If it was a problem in Tampa, they'd have moved the team long ago. And they're building a new stadium there, for God's sakes. Over in the NL, Philadelphia can close out their series with a win over the Miami Marlins. They were excited here in the Miami area for Marlins playoff run. Grand opening, grand closing. could end tonight. And the Brewers need a win against the Diamondbacks to extend that best of 3. Newly hired John Herdman will take in his first Toronto FC game as head coach tonight when the cellar-dwelling MLS team visits Charlotte FC in beautiful Charlotte, North Carolina. The former Team Canada men's coach John Herdman will observe from the sidelines while interim coach Terry Dunfield runs the show. Can you imagine, and tell me if I have this wrong, you people that follow soccer more than me, fired coach, middle of the season in the NHL. This is like Ryan Huska being hired to replace Daryl Sutter and just standing for a half. Well, he was the assistant before. But can you imagine the new coach standing on the bench and not doing anything for the first couple of games? I don't understand. Sports update is for Common Crown Brewing. They have the perfect craft beer for your enjoyment, featuring their Core 5, Good Company Hazy Pale Ale, Common Crown Crafted Lager, Journeyman IPA, Brewmaster Blonde Ale, and Coppersmith Brown Ale, 4 of which sit below 5% ABV, making them the ideal beer for your everyday common affair. And by the way, I'm just saying this for whoever needs to hear it, and I meant to bring this up with Moose earlier, but it escaped me, because we were spending far more time on hockey. But this morning on ESPN's Get Up, they were playing clips of my one of the ESPN, I'm blanking right now, RG3, who I hung out with at Super Bowl. Got photos of it. We're tight. You know what he was saying, Clark? That Bill Belichick should be fired, that his best days are behind him, and that he has... what do you call it? Malpractice. This is an example of coaching malpractice. Mac Jones has had 3 offensive coordinators in 3 years. I'm like, I said that yesterday. Don't need to play in the NFL to know these things. I got eyes. Bomber Boy in Calgary writes in. He says, I love these CFL player interviews on the RP show. CFL have always made their players easily accessible to the fans. Right, Clark?
Bingo!
Thank you to the CFL Players Association for making these players available. I quite enjoy them, too. We're getting to know a lot of, making new friends along the way. I often feel if you feel like you know the player, you're more apt to watch their games and cheer for them. Makes sense, right? Very similar to all these NFL players and the television ads down here, and you see them in Canada too. You feel like you know them. You want to cheer for them. That's important to take the helmet off once in a while. Jim in Balgony Sask writes in on the EMJ Marketing text line at 902-518-3033. He says, my heart wants the Jays to win today, but I definitely would not bet $10 that they'll win. Watch, we all expect they won't, and then they will. I sure hope so. 4:38 first pitch, Game 2 of that American League Wildcard Series. Tomorrow, all that matters is Bobby Lowe's and the Stanley Cup. There will be more, though. Tune in noon Eastern here on Game Plus and Key Radio.
Who has more fun than us?